recording?
Yeah, I'm going.
Okay.
I'm going.
All right. So there's a few different things that we want to work on with Papa George. One of them is, so the A section's coming along really well overall. There's certain details that we still want to work on to kind of get it just where we want it. One of them is getting a very consistent rhythm where there's not slight speeding up and slowing down at different spots. And to help us with that, we want to work with the metronome. What we were finding today is if we use Jake's metronome, that Pro metronome, and we set it at about 140 beats per minute, that's going to be giving us an eighth note count. And so, as we're playing the beginning, we're playing one note per metronome beat. That was working pretty well, both in terms of it being loud enough and enough frequency of tempo references with the eighth notes that Jake, you could play along with that well. So that was working well. Now, of course, you can slow it down or speed it up as you feel comfortable. But so when you're working on the tempo, it's going to be hard to address other nuances. So, you should probably have an area of time where you're just kind of working on the tempo, just kind of getting used to not pausing a little bit here and there. Now, when you turn the metronome off, then you can work on certain nuances in your performance that we want to tweak. So one of the areas that we've talked about a little bit before, but we're just trying to get into more detail with here, is trying to get these notes to ring together and not getting this sort of staccato sound where notes, are being sort of cut off early. Now, this particular spot right here, so if we start at the beginning, right after that much, we come down and play this part. So this is one of the areas that we're focusing on in the lesson here. This is what we've found so far. Number one, with the thumb, just want to make sure that the grip with the thumb is being maintained throughout that whole passage. So by the time we've gone through all of that, that bass note is still ringing. Number two, we want to make sure that as we're playing through this whole song, the right hand is floating. Sometimes, Jake, you end up resting your right hand back here after you've played a bass note, and that's going to cut the bass note off. So we don't want that. The hand has to be floating in the air, half an inch or so, or more above the strings. All right, now the next thing is when you're playing, we want, if we look at the shape of my fingers as I'm playing, the position of them, from the middle knuckle down to the tip, they're standing tall. They're not very bent. But when you're finger picking, if you look at the smallest knuckle, it's sometimes bending quite a bit. Okay, now when we have a bend like this, what's happening is sometimes when you're going to pick the B string, for example, this area, the top of your finger is actually touching and stopping the next highest string from ringing. So, looking at a part like this, and you're going to put your middle finger down to pick this B string, you're cutting off the high E string. And then when you pick the B string and you go to play the G string, you're cutting off the B string like that. So we end up with this sound. Whereas we actually want them all to ring together. Get a lot of nice musical effect with the tension created by all of these notes ringing together. So what we're looking at is having to sort of fundamentally get used to changing that positioning of the hand a little bit, and that's going to take some getting used to. And then probably some hand over hand manipulation here. So after you play this portion, you know, grabbing the finger and keeping it straight when it comes down onto the B string. As I was doing that for you, that was working pretty well. So I want to let me grab the iPad for a second. Still recording. Now go ahead and play that part for me that we were working on with the, you know, the part I was just demonstrating. That's right. So I want to just capture this. So again, what I was saying is we want these fingers to be, these knuckles to be not too bent. All right, now go ahead and play the first note, and then come down to the second chord. That's it. Just only do that much. Do that again. Good, again. Again. So sometimes what I'm doing is straightening that knuckle and then letting you play. Do it again. One more time. Good, next note. So when you bring that finger down, we don't bring the middle down, only bring the index. You have to be very careful. When you go to play the G string portion, keep the other fingers, keep this from bending too much, and then keep the other fingers up. Good, do it again. Again. There we go, now they were all ringing together. Now they cut off a little bit that time, do it again. One of the things we'll have to continue to work toward is this bending is also sort of a byproduct of these knuckles being positioned too far back. Generally, you want these knuckles to be positioned a little bit more forward, like that. Okay? But that's going to take a little while to get used to. Listen very carefully for this note right here. Play it. Try to listen for it. Try to keep it ringing. Don't keep playing until you hear that note sustaining. Let me help you. Do it again. Again. Okay, so, you know, sometimes we're getting it, sometimes we're not. This is one of those things where, you know, you're not going to be able to do it too much without going crazy. So, you know, let's see here. We're just going to want to spend, I don't know, maybe like 10 minutes a day trying to work on getting that down just right, and have like your mom or dad manipulate your hand a little bit to help you avoid touching those strings.